Hi everyone, my name is Crystal. I'm a developmental psychologist and mom to a 17-month-old. I'm also a little bit of a bookworm, so I'm pretty excited to be sharing with you some tips on how to help your young toddler love books. Now, I've organized my tips into A, B, C's so that they are easy to remember and hopefully easy for you to implement at home. So the first A is for availability, and this one really is a no-brainer. If you want your kids to love books, you have to have books available to them. Our go-to is Amazon. That's just an easy option right now.
Now, if you're watching this video in the future and we're no longer in the middle of a global pandemic, bookstores are a good idea. Thrift stores and the library are also good cost-effective options to build up your stash of books.
The next A is for accessibility. You want to make sure that your child can access the books as much as they want and whenever they want. One way you can do this is to place the books at their level, not hidden somewhere or high up somewhere where they can't reach. Your child should be able to go and grab books whenever they want, and having this level of independence really puts them on the right track to loving books. Accessibility also means that children can actually use books on their own. Now, as adults, we take for granted the ability to just flip through the pages of a book, but this actually takes a lot of fine motor skill that children are still developing. So board books like this one are a good way to go. The pages are thick and chunky and easy for their little hands to use independently. My next tip is to make books appealing, and I'm referring to how you display the books. Now, this might be really hard to believe, but children do have a natural sense of order. So if the books are displayed in a nice, orderly way, it'll make it more appealing to them and more likely that they will engage with the books independently. So no more shoving books in a corner somewhere or having huge piles of books all around. Consider having a designated area just for books. It's also a really good idea to display the books front-facing. Children do judge a book by its cover, and it's a bit abstract for a young child to understand that this represents this. You could get a front-facing bookshelf, or if you already have a traditional bookshelf, just display the books facing forward. We currently don't have a bookshelf set up, so I use a book basket. My son has a book basket like this in his play area and one in his room. And as you can see, all of the books are facing forward, and it's easy for him to see the covers of the book and choose which one he wants. Having your books front-facing also makes it really easy for young children to get their books and put their books back on their own. Now we'll move on to B, and B is for book rotation. Now, some of you might be familiar with toy rotations, so this is a similar concept. The idea is that you keep a limited number of books out at a time, and then you can switch them up. There's lots of benefits to doing book rotations. One is that children can engage with the books more deeply and more often if there are fewer of them out. Believe it or not, repetition is a really good thing for children. So if they're picking up the same book over and over and over again, each time they pick up that book, they might be learning something new. They might be solidifying concepts that they already know, and they're definitely strengthening connections in the brain. Another benefit of book rotations is that it just keeps things fresh. Because they might not have seen a book in a while, it's pretty exciting when you bring it back out again. It's almost like getting a new book. And in fact, depending on their age, a child could be engaging with a book in a whole new way than they did the last time they saw it. Here's a classic baby touch and feel book that my son got when he was about 6 months old. And so of course I've put it away. I had no intention of ever bringing it back out. Somehow about a month ago he found it and I just let him keep it out. By this time he knows all of the animals in the book, so he was excited to just look through and name the animals and make their sounds. He also has this basket of animals, and so I watched him go over to the animal basket and pick out animals and start matching them up. Now that's a more advanced cognitive skill that I didn't even know he had until that day. And so book rotations are really good because even if it's just a few weeks or months later, children can find new ways to engage with the same books. The number of books that you keep out at a time depends on your child, on their age and their interests. I typically keep about 7 to 10 books out. How often you switch out the books also depends on your child. Some people like to switch out their books on a fixed schedule. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I would recommend instead watching your child, observing them, and see how they're engaging with the books. If they keep picking up the same books over and over again, day after day, or even week after week, then there's no reason to rotate that book out. They're obviously getting something out of it. The next tip is to be an example. Children love to imitate. So if they see you reading and enjoying books, then they'll be more likely to do the same. So read to them often, read with them, and let them catch you reading. So that brings us to C, and C is for choice. Let kids choose their own books. So obviously having their books accessible and available sets them up to be able to choose their own books. But even when it's adult initiated, like shared reading time, you want to give them a choice. So an example of this would be maybe your bedtime story, when it's you, the adult, that's saying, let's read a book now. For young toddlers, you might want to start off just by presenting them with two options so it's not as overwhelming. When my son was much younger, I would do this for bedtime. So I would show him two books and tell him to choose one. Now, at first, he didn't really understand, so I just modeled for him. I would show two books and then I would point to one. And eventually he caught on and he understood how to choose his own book, and that made him really proud. So now it's just a part of our routine. He chooses his bedtime story. Choice is really important for young children, not just around books, but anywhere you can implement it. They have so little say in most of their lives that giving them a chance to choose something like which book they want to read, it may seem like a small thing, but it actually gives them a sense of ownership, a sense of confidence and autonomy, and it engages them even more. Also, you don't want to establish that books are some kind of chore or task that they have to do. And my last tip is that everything you do should be child-centered and child-led. What this means is that you make decisions based on your own child, on their interests, on their abilities, on their developmental needs. Go at their pace. This might mean that sometimes when you're reading a book that they want to speed through, or maybe that they want to go really slow and focus on one page, or they might want to go backwards. When they're really, really young and they're first picking up a book, if they pick it up upside down, that's okay. At this young age, it's all about process and exploration. Trust me, however they are engaging with those books, they are getting something out of it, they are learning something from it. And that is it for now. Here's a reminder of those tips. I really hope that you found this helpful. There's a lot more that I can say about children and books, so I'm thinking about doing more videos like this. So be on the lookout and please do comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions. All right, thank you and take care.